Welcome to the deep dive. In this episode, we're tackling one of the biggest financial decisions facing a lot of central government employees and those working in the private sector in India right now. I'm Aditi Kumar, and my co host today is Anil Agrawal.
Hi Aditi, let's kick the tire on NPS and UPS and what it might mean for our listeners.
It's this great retirement scheme face off of 25. You've got this classic tension, haven't you? Market linked growth, the flexibility, but also the risk of the established national pension system, the NPS.
Right, versus this new kid on the block, the Security First Unified Pension Scheme, or UPS.
That's exactly it. And we've gone through a pretty comprehensive stack of sources, comparing these two side by side. Scheme or UPS?
Okay, our mission today is, to quickly pull out the key features, the upsides, the downsides, and crucially, the differences to help you figure out which way to jump.
And it's not just academic, is it? Especially if you're a central government employee. This is important.
Definitely. You've got a deadline looming, runs through late September or late November 2025. Depends on your specific situation to potentially opt out of NPS and choose UPS instead.
It really is. And the fundamental question boils down to this. Do you go for those potential market gains or do you lock in that guaranteed inflation-proof income? Let's get into the details, starting with the established player, NPS.
So the clock is ticking. The National Pension System, NPS, it kicked off back in 2004, initially just for government employees.
Then in 2009, they opened it up much wider. Private sector, NRIs, even self-employed individuals could join. It really became the foundation for a lot of modern retirement saving in India.
And its whole identity is, it's tied to the market, isn't it? It's a defined contribution scheme by another name, similar to SEEP in the UK or 401k in America.
Exactly, defined contribution, meaning what you get out depends entirely on what goes in your contributions, your employer's contributions, and critically, how the investments perform.
So no guarantees on the returns. That's the risk inherent in it. But, that's also where the potential for higher growth comes from.
And one of the big draws, something our sources really emphasize, is the flexibility it offers.
Okay. What sort of flexibility?
Well, you get a say in things. You can choose your fund managers. You can decide how your money is allocated, across equities, corporate bonds, government securities, based on how much risk you're comfortable with.
That control is appealing. And of course, you can't talk NPS without mentioning the tax benefits. They're pretty significant.
You've got deductions under Section 80C, then there's the extra bit under 80CC-D1B for your own additional contributions, plus 80CC-D2 for the employer's part. It stacks up.
It really does. But okay, here's the catch, the flip side to that potential growth and flexibility. When retirement actually hits.
Yes, the annuity rule is key. You can pull out 60% of your final corpus as a tax-free lump sum, which is great.
But the other 40%, you have to use it to buy an annuity, basically a product that pays you a regular income, usually monthly. And crucially, that income stream you get from the annuity, it's taxable.
What about inflation? How does it address that slayer of all income?
Exactly. That annuity income is not inflation indexed. So the amount you get might sound okay when you retire. But fast forward 10, 20, 30 years.
Its buying power just shrinks and shrinks.
Precisely. You face significant inflation risk, eroding the value of your pension over time.
And that vulnerability, that market risk, combined with the inflation risk on the annuity part, that's essentially the problem the new scheme is trying to solve. It sets the stage perfectly for understanding why the UPS was created.
Fundamentally, yes.
Okay, so let's pivot. Let's look at this new alternative, the Unified Pension Scheme, UPS, launched last year, implemented this year, 2025, and specifically targeted, for now at least, at central government employees.
That's right. There is talk it might get extended to state employees down the line. But for now, it's central government, and it's genuinely a different beast. It's a hybrid.
Hybrid? How so?
Well, it tries to blend the contribution model we see in NPS, where both the employee and the government put money in with the core promise of the much older, old pension scheme, the OPS, with a guaranteed pension, a defined benefit.
Okay, got it. So let's dig into how the contributions work in UPS. Because you mentioned it's different and this seems critical to the guarantee.
It is. The employee contribution is fairly standard, 10% of your basic pay plus your dearness allowance.
Okay,
But the government's contribution is where it gets interesting. It's not just the standard 14% match you see in NPS for government employees. It's structured differently.
how so?
The government puts in two parts. First, they match the employee's 10% directly into your individual account, just like you'd expect. But they also contribute an additional 8.5% of basic plus DA. And this extra amount doesn't go into your pot. It goes into a separate pooled corpus.
A pooled corpus, what's that for?
That's the engine behind the guarantee. That extra 8.5% pool is specifically set aside to ensure the system can actually afford to pay out the promised pensions in the long run. It's the funding mechanism for the guarantee.
Ah, I see. So the total government support is actually higher than and then NPS 10% plus 8.5%, so 18.5% effectively.
Correct. That structural commitment, that extra funding layer, is what allows UPS to offer its main selling point, the guarantee.
Okay, so what is the guarantee? What's the actual defined benefit they're promising?
The promise is a pension equal to 50% of your average basic pay, calculated over your last 12 months of service before you retire.
50% of final average basic pay?
Yes, but there's a condition. You need 25 years of qualifying service to get that full 50%.
Okay, that makes sense. It shifts retirement income from being a market dependent estimate to, well, a much more predictable figure for your budget.
And they built in safety nets too, didn't they? These includes minimums and family provisions.
They did. There's a guaranteed minimum pension, 10,000 per month, for anyone with at least 10 years of service, which is important.
Plus, you still get standard gratuity benefits. And there's a family pension component too. If the pensioner passes away, dependents can receive 60% of the last pension amount drawn. That's significant security for families.
Okay, this really brings us to the sharp end of the comparison, doesn't it? Because choosing involves some pretty major high stakes trade offs.
So let's lay them out. NPS market linked, potential for high returns but carries risk. UPS hybrid structure, aiming for risk-free assured returns. That distinction is the difference in the nuanced philosophy between the two.
Let's tackle inflation first. This seems like a slam dunk for UPS.
It really is. UPS pensions are explicitly inflation protected. They get adjusted periodically through dearness relief or DR.
Just like current government pensions.
Exactly. That DR mechanism is designed specifically to maintain your purchasing power over potentially decades of retirement. We just don't see that with the NPS annuity component.
Right, which, as we said, is vulnerable to inflation eating away at its value. So, a point to UPS on inflation protection. Huge point.
Huge. But now we hit the major drawback, the price you pay for that security, liquidity. What happens at retirement?
Ah, yes. NPS lets you take that 60% lump sum tax free. That's a big chunk of cash upfront.
It is. And this, according to our sources, seems to be the toughest pill for many employees considering the switch. UPS offers, well, nothing. Zero lump sum payout at retirement under the UPS structure.
Wait. Zero. Seriously?
Yes, zero. The entire benefit is delivered as that guaranteed inflation-protected monthly pension. No option to take a large chunk out up front.
Wow, that's a massive difference because for so many people retiring, that 60% from NPS is, earmarked for big things, paying off the house, kids' weddings, maybe medical needs.
Absolutely. It's often a cornerstone of retirement financial planning.
Losing that immediate liquidity, is a very significant lifestyle adjustment to consider. So why? Why no lump sum in UPS?
Well, it comes back to the guarantee, doesn't it? If the government is guaranteeing you 50% of your last pay for life adjusted for inflation and funding, that through those pooled contributions, they can't also let you take a huge slice of the capital out at the start. The math wouldn't work long term.
That makes the decision really tough. Security versus flexibility. Before we get to who should choose what, let's quickly clear up the tax question. Was there confusion about whether UPS gets the same benefits as NPS?
There was initially, but thankfully the Central Board of Direct Taxes, the CBDT, issued a clarification.
Yes, I recall they confirmed that all the existing tax benefits you get under NPS will also apply to your contributions under UPS. So sections 80CCD1, the extra bit in 80CCD1B, and the employer contribution part under 80CCD2, up to that limit, it all carries over.
Okay, so, tax-wise, it's a level playing field. Tax parity removes one variable, at least.
Excellent. Right. That brings us squarely to the decision point. Who should stick with NPS and who might be better off opting for UPS? It clearly depends on your situation.
It absolutely does. Let's start with NPS. It remains the primary, often the only choice for anyone in the private sector. NRIs, the self-employed.
Right. They don't have the UPS option currently.
Exactly. And even for government employees, if you're someone who's comfortable with market fluctuations, you actively want control over your investments, and you're aiming for potentially higher growth, even knowing it's not guaranteed, then NPS still makes a lot of sense.
Plus, you keep that 60% lump sum option.
You keep the lump sum option, yes. But for central government employees who prioritize predictability and safety,
Then UPS looks very attractive.
extremely attractive. If your main goal is stability, a guaranteed income stream you can rely on, and especially that crucial protection against inflation via dearness relief, UPS is designed for you.
And the family pension aspect adds another layer of security for dependents.
Definitely, it provides a much clearer picture of financial security down the road.
It's also really important to stress if you're a government employee already in NPS, switching to UPS is optional, isn't it?
Completely optional. You have to actively opt into UPS by the deadline. If you do nothing, you stay in NPS. You can choose to stick with the market-linked path if that's your preference.
So you weigh the guaranteed income and inflation protection of UPS against the potential growth and lump sum flexibility of NPS.
That's the core trade-off. And one more thing, regardless of which scheme you choose, you want diversification.
You got it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Whether you choose NPS, relying on market returns, or UPS, relying on the government guarantee, there's still long-term risk involved.
Market crashes on one side, maybe unforeseen government policy changes on the other, however unlikely.
Precisely. So the strong recommendation is to supplement whichever scheme you pick with other secure investments. Things like fixed deposits were mentioned, citing up to 7.3% assured returns currently. Build a separate buffer.
Creates a safety net, adds liquidity, mitigates overall risk. Makes sense.
Okay, so wrapping this up, as that deadline gets closer for government employees, you're essentially balancing the fear of market volatility against the hope for potentially higher returns.
That's a good way to put it. And the synthesis really is to look beyond just the potential numbers. Think about your personal risk tolerance, your need for control versus your need for certainty. NPS gives you flexibility and growth potential. UPS gives you structure and assurance. Neither is inherently better. It depends on you.
And to leave you with a final thought, something that frames this dilemma quite well. It's the idea of Pascal's wager.
Ah, yes. An interesting philosophical angle. The idea applied here is that when you're facing major uncertainty about the future, like will the markets deliver fantastic returns over 30 years, or will the government reliably pay out this guaranteed pension, Pascal suggested it might be rational to choose the option that offers the best worst-case scenario.
So translate that to this choice.
Well, If your absolute biggest fear is outliving your savings, facing real hardship in old age,
Then the guaranteed inflation proof income from UPS is arguably the best worst case outcome, isn't it? It protects you from that disaster scenario.
exactly. Even if NPS might end up delivering higher returns, the UPS guarantee eliminates the risk of the worst outcome. It forces you to weigh the emotional value, the peace of mind that comes with financial safety, against a purely mathematical drive to maximize potential gains.
A really powerful framework for making this decision. Definitely something to mull over carefully before those 2025 deadlines hit.
Thanks, Aditi. And that's a wrap. To our listeners, Alveda. Please share, comment, and subscribe.